Gaming backlogs are a thing that every single one of us has to deal with, and it will always be a looming presence that will never stop haunting you, especially after dirty Steam sales, selling games for stupidly low prices, games that, maybe you'll play at some point in the next 5 years. For the past few months, I've been conquering my backlog, but that hasn't been enough to get through it, so this time, I'm gonna be destroying my backlog, which means I'm gonna be playing more games, with more explosions, with more tits, more violence. Oh yeah, get excited, fellas. Okay, let's see here. What's the first game on the list? Yeah, this game is hardcore. Stardew Valley has been sitting, festering in my backlog since like 2016, which was... oh, that was a long time ago. It's been sitting there because Stardew Valley had never really gelled with me. I never understood it because it didn't have guns and violence. So it was only really recently where I fully got into it thanks to my girlfriend constantly asking me to play the game with her because she loves the game. Like, loves it to the point of 100%ing the game. She's insane. I'm glad I gave the game another shot though because I enjoy it quite a lot now. Honestly, I still don't fully understand the game, and by that I mean all of the farming shit, which is probably one of the biggest parts about the game because, you know, it's a farming game. The stuff I like to do is fish. The fishing minigame is so satisfying. I adore this shit. I also like to go around befriending all of the villagers and seeing their silly little befriending cutscenes where you learn how much of a fucking freak they are. Abigail is such a loser. Imagine going out by yourself and playing an instrument all by yourself. Like, I don't know why anyone would do something by themselves, you know, all alone like a fucking loser. Linus, the homeless guy, has a really suspicious friendship cutscene. That's him teaching you how to make a certain bait for fishing, by the way. I'm still only in the first year of the game currently, so technically it's still in my backlog, but I guess you can't really beat Stardew Valley. It's endless. It's a very epic game, though. When I first saw the announcement of Solar Ash and God knows when, I thought the game looked really interesting, especially since it was a 3D game created by the person who made Hyper Light Drifter. It just had a lot going for it, straight away. Then I instantly forgot the game existed when it was announced as an Epic Game Store exclusive. Okay, that shit aside, the game did come to Steam a year later, and I picked it up around my birthday this year, after I, remembered the game existed. Solar Ash is a really cool game. The obvious thing to point out would be the game's art style. That shit just pops, it looks beautiful. Thankfully though, it's not just an amazing art direction that carries the game, as the gameplay is very fun too. I know comparison is a really cheap way to describe a game, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Solar Ash is basically Sonic mixed with Shadow of the Colossus. Your main objective of the game is to scale these massive beasts, but doing it as fast as possible. Each monster has extremely unique designs, making each one a treat to scale. The build up to each of the beasts has you platforming around, again in extremely unique and distinct locations. You go around destroying eyes that wake up the monster, causing it to roam around the area you've been exploring, disgruntled at the fact you woke it up from its nap. The worst part about Solar Ash is easily the story and the main character. The main character is voiced, which is something I wasn't expecting before going in, and I don't know. In games like this, I kinda want the game world itself to tell me its story, rather than some schizo main character talking to themselves after every big event in the game. That's my only issue with Solar Ash though. It was an awesome experience. Thankfully, it was short too. It took me around 4 hours to finish. I genuinely love short games. The older I get, the more I appreciate shorter games. I'm saying this while looking at Persona 5 in my backlog right now. How long does that game take to finish again? Oh. I do plan on coming back to Solar Ash to 100% the game, but yeah, overall it was a good time, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Another backlog video, which means another Yakuza game down. This one being, well, you saw the cover of the game a few seconds ago. I don't even know why I'm bothering with this bit. Yakuza 6 was an awesome experience. I mean, obviously, it's a Yakuza game. Even the worst ones in the series are a treat to play. After playing Yakuza 4 and 5 over the course of 2 years, moving on to Yakuza 6 felt like such an upgrade and a huge breath of fresh air. For starters, the game is on the Dragon engine, which was brand new at the time, and as amazing as everything looks, you can kinda tell it was their first time using it. Combat feels dumbed down compared to some of the previous games, games, and the engine has some of the funniest physics I have ever seen in a game before. Now these sound like negatives, but the thing is, I think these are positives. For starters, with the combat being dumbed down, I don't actually mind this. If anything, I find it way more satisfying because of it. That's because I've always been pretty god-awful at Yakuza games, I'm not gonna lie. Well, specifically, I'm god-awful at these ones, 3, 4, and 5. So, due to the dumbed down combat, I'm always able to come out on top of any of the fights without much hassle, and I feel amazing doing so with all of the beautiful Dragon Engine particle effects spraying everywhere. To be fair, it wasn't that hard on 5 either, especially when you played as Kiryu in the start. I guess I understand why the game is so easy now, because 6 was supposed to be the end of Kiryu's saga. Not anymore though. So obviously the meat slab would be at his all-time peak in this game. And as a finale for Kiryu, I think the game does a good job at quote-unquote ending his story. I mean, the story is a Yakuza story, so you know it's good, and yeah, it's a Yakuza game. I don't know how many times I can say that. You should play it. Just play it. I've already played 7, by the way, so that won't be appearing in a backlog video, but guess what might be? I wonder why people like this game so much. Dead Estate is a cool game. It's a roguelike game, somewhat similar to The Binding of Isaac, except rather than being top-down, it's slightly angled. Okay, there's more to that. Aside from the fact you go from room to room, killing enemies, earning money, and slowly upgrading your character, and acquiring new weapons, just like The Binding of Isaac, there are a few unique things to Dead Estate. For starters, if you take too long on any of the floors, you hear this horrific guttural sound. And after a few more seconds, this fella comes to hunt you down. He is called Chunks, he is immortal, and is absolutely horrifying. Every floor in Dead Estate has a unique theme, and as you gradually unlock new floors, you can explore different routes to take on your journey. Different routes that can change the endings and final bosses you can get. It's a pretty standard roguelike game, and if you're into stuff like The Binding of Isaac like I am, I definitely recommend this game. There was actually one night where I played this game for like 3 hours straight with no breaks. It can be very addictive. You should play Dead Estate. It's very good, and that's because it's a good game, it's not because of any other reason. Before I talk about The Last of Us itself, I need to clarify that I played this on PC. So if some things look like absolute dog shit, well, that's because the PC port is absolutely terrible and I had to play it on the lowest settings. It is easily one of, if not the worst PC ports I have ever experienced in my entire life. It's actually quite embarrassing considering the fact it was Naughty Dog themselves who ported it. So much for that Naughty Dog quality assurance, right? It came out a few months ago and since then it's had like 100 gigabytes worth of patches in an attempt to fix it. It still stutters like shit though, especially during action-packed cutscenes, and I absolutely hate that this happens because honestly I really like this game, which is a huge surprise, I know, especially if you've seen my content before and my opinions. When I first started playing the game, it didn't really click with me at first. I kind of just thought it was baby's first survival horror game, but oh man, it's so much more than that. The gameplay and combat is a lot of fun, especially the melee. Something about these combos and takedowns are just oof. They're lovely. I mean, they all boil down to you just spamming F, but shh, they're satisfying regardless. Every weapon is a treat to use against enemies, and damn, the workbenches in this game for upgrading weapons it's just practically gun porn. The attention to detail with how Joel unloads the weaponry before performing any upgrades on the guns, it's just awesome shit and I love it. I even adore the downtime moments of just exploring in the game, and that's because of the characters and their interactions. There isn't a single badly written character in this game. They all feel so grounded and act like any person would during horrific times like this. I love me some bleak ass games, and this is definitely one of them. Well, it's a bleak game that's made me laugh a few times. These silly jokes during the game never feel forced, and if anything, it makes the characters feel even more human, cracking silly's intense moments to try and comfort themselves.
You got something on your shoe.
Joel is an amazing character and I love his relationship with Ellie. He goes from kind of resenting her to caring for her like a daughter near the end, and you're there for the whole time seeing their relationship grow. Listen, I completely get why people love this game, and I understand even more now why people fucking hate the sequel. Okay, so we're gonna do something new for this series, and that new thing is bringing in a guest speaker to talk about a game they've recently finished in their backlog. Let's see, today's guest speaker is Dr. Skipper. Take it away.
Hello, all you cool and lovely people. My name's Skipper, and today I'm going to be talking about a game.
because I'm a gamer. And I play games. I've been on a Guardians of the Galaxy binge due to the third film's release, and recently I was making a video, so I was like, you know what, I see that the game's on sale on Steam, let me just try and play it again. Last time I played this game was a long time ago in 2021. I bought it on PS5 because I was guilty for only playing Spider-Man on that, like for real, it just collects dust most of the time. And given that this is a single player game, I was like, you know what, let me just sit on my couch and chill. I was originally skeptical because I don't like the Avengers game at all, so I thought they were gonna, destroy the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, and I was like, oh, this is gonna suck, but I wanted it to be good in the back of my mind, and I had this hot take back then, and I still have it now. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers was really bad since it was a tacked on live service with tons of nostalgia baity microtransactions. It was only created to make money off the Marvel name, but much like the first film by James Gunn, the Guardians of the Galaxies are seen as a bunch of nobodies that creative people tend to make somebodies out of. The game is pure single player from beginning to end. You can get every suit for free just by looking for them, and with such an ethically safe game, it's no surprise that a lot of love was put into it. The gameplay can be boring at times. It's not as bad and janky as the Avengers game. Playing as the Hulk is just, oh my god. But otherwise of its gameplay, the most shocking thing is that it has such good writing and story. It's so good that I feel like you're playing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie from the MCU. Well, that's my 2 cents of a game I played recently. Thank you for listening to me, and goodbye.
Let me know down in the comments what games you've been playing recently that have just been festering in your backlog. And let me know if you're enjoying them or just forcing yourself through it to say that you finished it. I know we've all been there.